Force. This actual building is in England at RAF Leeming, but it will be similar to those in Iraq. Simon Montague has worked on this type of shelter in Oman in the Middle East.
They are essentially long corrugated iron or corrugated steel arches over which is poured very heavily reinforced concrete. That provides a structure within which you can keep perhaps 1, 2 or 3 fighter or bomber aircraft well protected from enemy attacks. Within that shelter you'd also have life support systems enabling crews to sleep and eat without leaving the shelter. And you'd also quite likely keep armaments within the shelters too, so that aircraft could be reloaded in safety before going out and onto the attack again.
Many of the Allied pilots in Operation Desert Storm have reported that Iraqi planes have fled north. The fear now is that much of Iraqi's considerable air force is now safely ensconced in fortified shelters in the north of the country. That would explain air raids from Turkey. But it may be that their bombs and missiles didn't get through to the aircraft, wrapped as they are in shelters of thick layers of concrete.
Provided they're of a design similar to the British design, which they probably are, they should be very good at withstanding Allied attacks, one would have thought. It's going to take a few direct hits, as like as not, to actually crack a way through these shelters and to damage the aircraft within.
And the extraordinary American video of bombing raids, which showed aiming of such precision that bombs could be fired through ventilation shafts, may not reflect the true position as to just how impregnable these shelters are.
They're designed to take and resist the biggest punishment with ordnance that missiles or aircraft can bring into the airfields. And therefore, it is highly likely that there are still quite large numbers of aircraft inside those hardened shelters with chips on the outside that have not been broken open.
These shelters are also thought to house missiles and chemical warheads, as well as other hardware. If this is indeed the case, it must raise questions about just how much of Iraq's military hardware has been knocked out by the Allied air campaign so far. But perhaps even more worrying is the protection these reinforced shelters have afforded Saddam Hussein's command and control structure from the air attacks in Baghdad. His presidential palace has reportedly been flattened by the Allied attacks, but construction sources say that underneath the palace is a large underground network of rooms in which Hussein may have been virtually unaffected. The whole bunker below is shielded by a huge 2-foot-thick detonator slab said to be capable of withstanding the blast of a 500-pound bomb. Immediately under this are steel doors with airlocks and reinforced entrances. That leads to a warren of rooms constructed out of huge 8-foot-thick reinforced concrete walls. There's everything required for a command centre to survive for weeks, including dormitories, canteens and showers. In the middle section are communications and offices and Hussein's personal bedroom. Below there's electricity generation, water tanks and air filtration. The whole bunker is on a bed of hard rubber foundation to cushion heavy impact. They are said by some experts to be virtually immune from aerial assault.
If you're thinking in terms of shelters, as our older generation knew them, the Anderson shelters, the air raid shelters, you can forget all about that. Modern command and control centres are underground concrete bunkers with every facility you could possibly wish provided.
These type of bunkers are thought to be situated under a number of important sites in Baghdad. As well as the palace, there are said to be bunkers at the Ministry of Defence, the Communications Centre and the Security Ministry. They are all interconnected by tunnels. It may well be that the air campaign so far has barely dented Saddam Hussein's command and control structure. Saddam Hussein appeared on Iraqi television from some kind of underground structure. He may have to stay there for some time, and that could be the Allies' biggest problem.